Hello and thanks for joining us on Punters Inside Run. I'm Matthew Campbell. It's great to have your company as always, but do not adjust your set. I know it looks a bit weird here at the moment. Normally Shark sits next to me. Simon O'Donnell comes in, sits over there. Simon, firstly, welcome to you. Has there been a coup?
No, there hasn't. I just heard you two weren't getting on and you needed a referee in the middle.
Now, what really happened, Shark? Tell us why you were supposed to be in New Zealand.
It's called Towgate.
Yeah. I was supposed to be in New Zealand, Matty, for the sales over there, but unfortunately the big wet that hit New Zealand meant that a couple of my flights were cancelled and rescheduled and then cancelled again. So in the end, it just wasn't feasible to get over there.
Well, we've put you in the Sydney chair, so no excuses. You've only got one meeting to look at, so you've got to find us some winners in Sydney.
And you know what?
He's cut his big toe.
And he's got a detachable toe.
I'm missing half a toe, but I'm confident about Sydney.
Yeah, so who was the toe cutter? That's a different story. As usual, we'll take a look at Sydney. They've got group racing there. Also at Sandown Hillside, we've got a couple of group races, Group 3 races there. James Lamb from Punters will join us to talk about that and all his best bets. And then later on, we'll have a recap of what everybody likes in the big call. All right, now, as I mentioned, Shark, pressure on here. You've just done Sydney. You don't have to talk about Melbourne, whatever. We'll start with the Group 3 race there. We've got the Eskimo Prince. Betting suggests it's fairly skinny race with not too many chances, 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, well, Half Cabin is the short favourite, well, even money favourite, I think, at last look, and so he probably should be favourite for the race. Don't know if that price is completely justified. He was the raging favourite for the Guineas, wasn't he, at Caulfield in the spring when he just hosed up in the Guineas Prelude. He had great form leading up to that. He's a very, very talented horse. He's got a good turn of foot. What we learned about him last time, though, Simon, he bled. And that's why we didn't see him in the Guineas. Bleeders first up, there's a bit of a school of thought that they go very, very well. He's only had the one trial and it was excellent. So he's hard to beat. I'm just working around him, though, on the score of value with a horse called Osipenko.
Sounds like he should be playing in the Australian Open.
Doesn't he? Yeah,
Osipenko
absolutely.
Won the mixed doubles.
Just returning and going, oh, something like that. But
my toe hurts.
Yeah, my toe, yeah. This horse was placed in the Guineas ultimately. Really, really talented animal. He's opened up by a wide margin on horses over a sprint distance in the past. He's jumped out twice or trialled twice in Sydney. Both times he's just pulled himself into the trial under absolutely no riding. I think he's a really good colt, and I think he'll win this race first up.
Simon, there's some early money for Zoo Tiger resuming. Comes off a third in the Golden Mile.
Yeah, I think Zoo Tiger's got a really good chance from the point of view. O'Shea's stable going really well, and he's come into the race the way John likes him to come into those. A couple of nice trials, just a fourth and a third, and just hitting the line nicely. So I think Zoo Tiger's in with a good show. I agree with Shark. Half Cabin is, I think, going to be a pretty noticeable horse right through the autumn. I think we're going to see a lot more as long as the lungs stay okay. Reports are all is good there. J Cummings, what sort of combination is that? It's first class, so it's got a lot going for us. The one I like at value is Communist.
That's good because we wanted to find something outside the top 3. Tell us about.
I just think, look, Communist. He's a very consistent horse. He kept stepping up against good company and kept putting up. And I just think now after a break, I'm thinking, oh wow, this fella just could measure up to top shelf during the autumn. Now whether he's fully wound up here, I don't know. Michael Freedman trains him. He's going to be, very well prepared for it. He wouldn't put him in if he didn't think he was worthy of an opportunity here at this level with what he's done previously. So I think he's a really good each-way show.
All right, let's get top 3s. Recap your top 3 for us in order.
Number 5, Osipenko on top for me. Matty ahead of Half Cabin, number 3. And I'm going with Zoo Tiger, number 8 in next best. I think the market's got it pretty well right. But yeah, keen to see what Comrade's top pick here, Communist, can do.
Comrade, like it. Numbers in order?
Yeah, numbers in order. Half Cabin, Communist, Zoo Tiger for me.
I've got Half Cabin on top, but Osipenko second, Zoo Tiger. With Half Cabin, I like, all 4 runs last prep, or the prep before, were all on heavy and soft. I like that the trial was on a good surface, and we're probably going to get a good surface, so that was good for me. All right, so that's the Group 3 Eskimo Prince. Righto, Shark, this is where you earn your dough. What about your best bets in Sydney?
Well, the Drinkwise Mile, which could be well named for some at this time of year after a busy summer period, full of horses resuming that want more ground. Solcombe, who won the Queen Elizabeth really, really well back in the spring, it came up very short in the market here. And the market almost immediately switched around to the inform miler, who's proven at the trip and ready to go, race fitness, winning fitness, and that's Banju. I think he opened around about $3 or so. He's now favoured around 220, 230. I think he's the most likely winner of this race. He can go forward. There's not a lot of speed here. Horses like No Compromise, Soulcombe, they'll run well fresh, but they get back and they run on, and they want more ground. Yes, imports can get more speed in their legs when they're trained in Australia, but you're asking for speed to be injected in a very quick turnaround. It's not as if this horse has arrived, had a full prep in Australia, and has had its total routine changed.
Yeah, it's just the one run.
You finished racing in November, now we're in first week of February. It's not a lot of time to rebuild a horse. So really nice horse, Soulcombe, but I think we'll see the best of him over a trip. Banju's the best for the day, race 6 and number 6.
Your best for the day, mate?
I kept coming back to communists. Stayers,
So do many world leaders.
Highways, midways, most unpopular horse on track, being by Russian Revolution. I thought, yeah, that suits me down to the ground. Unpopular horse, unpopular person. I'm going with a communist each way.
I've got Pretty Wild in race 5, number 4. Said the 2 runs, excellent first up behind Star Beretta, which has come out and won again last week. Second up, I don't think leading Suited. Now third up out to 1300. J-Mac takes the ride, which we have to pay a bit of J-Mac insurance for the price. But for me, Pretty Wild's my best. And anything else we should be following?
Yeah, definitely. Race 5, number 9, Super Bright. Very confident about this.
So you're going against me?
It's we'll get to
That's okay.
Probably. I'll go against you in this, but third up into
Told
this
you
race.
needed me in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. You've picked it. You've 100% picked it. Caught wide first up, kept finding the line. It was a really good run. She went back from a gate last time behind Darlalart. The gap came late. She zipped up through it. She's really well drawn in this race. I think she'll be the winner of this race. She's around $5.50, so you can shop well there. And in race 9, Chris Waller and Jason Collett team up here with Wineglass Bay, an import.
Yes. Yep.
2 runs at 1500, really good first up. Second up, just a little one-paced, steps up in trip now, down in the weights from a good draw. I think Wineglass Bay is probably the best value on the card, around $8.
Anything else in Sydney?
Nope.
Nope. I'll have one at value in race number 3, number 10, Miss Lenore. Been racing well, 2 starts back, was a runner-up in the same grade. Things didn't really work out. It was a little bit unlucky at Warwick Farm last start, and up to 1600, drops in weight, and around that sort of $8 mark, I'll take Miss Lenore.
I just thought of something.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's good communist is by Russian Revolution. What would you call it if it was by capitalist?
Wow.
There's some homework for you. Send your entries through, and we'll give you $1 million cash.
Has to be shared evenly, of course.
And please
Conditions apply.
enter competitions responsibly. Thank you, mate, and thanks for giving us something to think about. Sharkie, you get an early minute.
On you, Matty. Thank you.
Mick Sharkie is our Sydney expert. If he gets it right, who knows, he might be back next week. But I'll tell you who is back, and it's James Lamb to talk racing at Sandown next.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
This is Punters Inside Run, time to talk racing at Sandown. James Lamb, as always, from punters.com joins us. Lammy, great to have your company as always. A little bit of rain around prior to Saturday, but it looks like we're going to be on a good surface. And at Hillside, I love betting at Hillside. It's a great track to punt.
Yeah, it is a great track. Nice and roomy. Most horses get their chance. But yeah, the weather forecast looks a little bit grim. So you'd think probably soft 5 is worst case scenario. Yep. So yeah, working to a good 4, soft 5.
Security come down from the Gold Coast?
What's that?
We could be on a heavy 10.
7 mils, you can get the meeting abandoned at the Gold Coast. What about you, mate, as an owner, as a breeder, as a punter at Sandown Hillside? Do you enjoy
Love it.
there? Yeah.
Love it. Love Sandown in general.
In general, yeah.
You know, it just gives horses a chance. And there's those challenges down into a dip, coming up a hill. The horse has got to know where their feet are going.
All right. We've got 2 Group 3s. We'll start with the 2-year-olds, the Chairman's Stakes. And Lammy, a little bit like when we spoke to Shark about Sydney, the first race here, it looks fairly, the betting suggests that it's almost a choice of 2.
It's always tricky with these 2-year-old races where you're sort of basing your form on trials, jump outs, or just one start, basically. But I did find it hard to split VC and Sarasana, the colt and the filly. I've gone with VC, romped home at Flemington on debut, 1100 metres. Put 2.5 lengths on the runner-up. There was also a massive gap back to third, which you'll always like to see. Back to 1,000 looks okay. We've talked about how Sandown's a big track. If it was back to 1,000 at the Valley, I might be a little bit wary, but at Sandown, I'm not concerned about that. And obviously the sire, Capitalist, was a star juvenile. So I've gone with VC just ahead of Sarasana, who's also a really impressive debut winner. I don't think there's much between them.
fate that Capitalist comes back into the conversation, mate. He's paying a lot of attention.
Communist, capitalist, Russian Revolution. Who knows where we end up here?
Yeah, I'm not going to go there. What about those two? I mean, they seem to be the two we've seen. We've seen them both win impressively.
Yeah, VC in particular. And interesting, when you see a young horse do what VC did first start, I wonder whether they can produce that again.
Yep.
So I must admit, I'm going against VC for that. He may have already had his day out. And I love the way Graham Begg brings his 2-year-olds to the races.
He's just brilliant at it, isn't he?
Absolutely brilliant at it. So, and I think, for some reason, I just think there's going to be pace here.
Yep.
I reckon Written Bly is going to sit just off them and go bang.
Is Written Bly the best of the...
Yeah, I had her as the third pick in the race. A couple of nice jump outs at the home deck there. And yeah, the wide gate probably, it means that she has to probably go back and just sit off them and yeah, hopefully call it up and has the last crack.
All right, I've got a funny feeling we're going to be fairly similar in the numbers. Take us away, top three.
VC on top, number 2, number 3, Sarasana, and number 9, Written Bly for a bit of value.
Yeah, number 9, Written Bly. That's the value, as James has said. VC, can't leave him out. He just was fantastic at Flemington first up. And Zulfikar, who was really good for Godolphin in the spring. Second start, not so good, but had one of those bust-out runs first up. Could be.
Dual accepted, do we know? I mean, we're sort of Thursday around lunchtime. We don't know, do we? No. So that's the problem sometimes with the dual acceptors. We just don't know where it runs, but it's certainly impressive.
Yeah. Hopefully down here.
Okay, well, I've got Sarasana on top. Just thought that the sectionals and the way Sarasana hit the line, just ahead of VC, maybe just back from that 1100, and Written Bly, as you mentioned, you've touched on as well. So pretty similar numbers there. All right, let's get to the Jeffrey Balmain. It's a Group 3 over the 1300 metres. Much more difficult. I found this a difficult race and much more open than what we've just talked about.
Yeah, I think it's a wide leg of the quaddie, and probably still miss. But going with Vespertine on top, number 2, wide gate, but I don't actually mind the wide gate for her. It looks to be a really strong speed on paper. There's speed inside and out, so I think she'll just go back from the wide gate and probably gets a nice cart into the race. She's a horse who, look, when she does get a decent trail into it, she can really let rip with a big finish. Tempo was against her in the Standish first up. They went pretty slow early, and the back markers just never got into it.
Back on the inside.
Yeah, last 100 was pretty good. So I think she's a horse who generally spikes second up. She's had 4 starts for 2 wins in a second. So expecting sharp improvement. Going with Vespertine at decent price. I think we're getting $7 or $8.
Now, Simon, Rose Quartz and James started on Married at First Sight. They're now on Survivor.
Are they?
Yeah.
Right.
Did you? He's off Rose Quartz. So am I. Does Rose Quartz figure?
Now's the time to jump on.
I was going to say,
love a score.
I thought the Standish run was okay. I understand where James is coming on, and understand where you're both coming from. She's not my top selection. Look, in racing, I love informed horses, informed jockeys, or informed stables. And the Anthony Freedman stable, I reckon, is absolutely on fire. Anthony and Sam Freedman. They've got snapped in this. I think there's going to be
done much wrong.
No, and I think wrote to it Arataki. Jamie Carr's going to come over from out wide. There's going to be enough speed for Snap just to get a gorgeous run in the race, and I think have last shot at it. So Snapped on top for me for Anthony and Sam Freedman.
All right, let's take your top 3 in order then, and we know Rose Quartz is now in Australian Idol.
Yeah, not in my top 3, Rose Quartz. Vespertine on top. I got Snapped as the danger. It's definitely the query runner. This is its toughest test to date, but didn't really get a crack at them in Sydney last start, and obviously was brilliant winning first up. So yeah, Snap could blow them away. And Forbidden City, I thought, was probably value. Disappointed last time when in the market, but prior to that was a back-to-back winner, one of those at this circuit. Absolutely loves Sandown Hillside. 3 starts, 2 wins, and a minor placing. And for the SP profiles, she started under $3 or $3 or less in all 4 starts this prep, and we're getting $14 here. So if you have been on, might be time to butter up again. It is a rising grade, but I think Forbidden City's one to definitely throw in the quaddie.
Yeah, I think Forbidden City turns it around in Bello Rish anyway. Your top 3?
Yeah, I'm going with Snapped, the 11 on top. Wrote to Arataki for Jamie Carr, number 10. I'm not sure what Arataki means. I looked that up at some stage. Probably should have looked it up before the show, but I didn't, so be it.
I think it's a Hawaiian word for capitalist.
Yes, correct. Or Trump, whichever way you want to go.
You got it in.
Rose Quartz, number 4. Talking of unlucky or unliked horses from my panellists. Rose Quartz for me on the back of the Standish run.
I've got Vespertine on top for the same thing you mentioned. Also, the second up record is very good, as you touched on. 4 starts for 2 wins and a placing. I've got Snap second. I've got Exolita in for third. Might not be the right race for Exolita, but I think it is the best horse in the race.
Very smart on its day. A bit hard to catch, but
Yeah.
it does have a big turn of foot.
All right, that's our 2 Group 3s. So now we move to James to get your other best bets for the card.
Yeah, best bet, I was going to go with Inundation, but it could start very short. So we'll go with one at a bit better odds. Race 6, number 3, Daytona Bay. Resumes off a couple of jump outs at Pakenham. Ridden along in the latest jump out, so I'm hoping that Moody has it fit enough first up for this trip. Moody Stable's absolutely airborne at the moment. It's driving at over 20% in the last couple of months. 1-4 from 5, and the only time it missed was when it was beaten by Cardinal Gem, who then was pretty competitive in the Golden Eagles, beaten less than 6 lengths in that. So I like the fact that he puts himself on speed, he's drawn well, and yeah, the Moody horses are proving very hard to get past once they're in front with that big nose roll bobbing up and down. So Daytona Bay on top, and Fujita San, very short in the market. I'm willing to risk it first up until it actually does something on the track and not just at the trials.
So that's your best bet. What's your best?
It's good that Pete Moody's now got the crossover nose band on himself, because we're not hearing as much
He
from
puts
him.
Catherine out there.
Yeah, the nose band just wasn't keeping his head down enough. But that's by the by. My best bet is Snapped. I think the camp is in good form. Good run in Sydney last start, so I think Snap for me. My value bet, you want that now?
Yeah, what?
Is
no
Right
rules.
You Are.
Yeah.
Right You Are, race 8, number 6. Lamar Eustace camp, talking about stables in form.
Yeah, don't know how not to train winners. All right, that's Right You Are later on. Your other best bet and your value.
Yeah, next best, race 5, number 9, British Columbia. Was there to win last start, but just faded late. I'm putting that down to a bit of a lack of fitness, second up off a long break. It's basically the same sort of affair. Stays at 1400, stays in benchmark 70 grade. Drawn to land in the first 4, so if it's a bit fitter third up, I think it can bounce back. And best value, race 3, number 8, Field the Moment. A couple of shorties in this, Hennessy Lad and Black Max are the clear favourites, but I think Field the Moment might be in front of them in the run. Beaten by Snap Dancer last start. Shuffle Dancer. Shuffle Dancer looks very promising, so I'm going with Field the Moment. Nice platform for 1800 fourth up, fit, will probably lead or sit behind the leader and hopefully be too good.
My best bet is in race 4, number 1, Benedetta. I think the last couple of wins have been a little bit arrogant, really. I mean, goes up a fair way in grade, but could have won that last start by a lot more than 3.5 lengths. Could have been up to about 6 lengths. I think it's a winnable race with just Belmere the danger. And my best bet was going to be Dillinger, who was involved in a shootout with Zippity Zoostar last start, and they were 7 lengths back to third, and they've scratched it on me. So
Zippity won yesterday.
Zippity won yesterday, so I thought the form was going to stack up. So I've ended up with, in the race 5, number 1, Super Arcee. Just been racing really consistently. Was very close to winning. Maybe it might be the time today. Has beaten Victory Bay, has beaten British Columbia, and has beaten Euro Dandy, and they're all sort of around the $5 mark.
Been up forever, that horse.
Yeah, and well,
Continues to hold its form.
Ben Brisbane, he get his horses to do that, but I think at odds, it's double the odds of its rivals. Might be his turn. All right, that's it, Lammy.
Yep.
Great to have you company.
Great to be here. Let's get a few winners.
That's the
Go Rose
plan.
Quartz.
Go Rose Quartz. I don't know what TV.
Now is the time to jump on.
If it gets on and wins, we'll have to come up with another program for Rose Quartz. That's James Lamb, who always is our guest here on Punters Inside Run. Next up, it's the big call. All the tips and all the best bets.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.
This is the big call. This is where we give you all the tips and all the best bets that we've just discussed so that you can sort of put them all together and have a winning weekend. All right, mate, why don't you start with Lammy's tips at Sandown?
Well, the first thing I can say is Rose Quartz is not on top for Lammy, be assured of that. Let's go to Sandown. Race 2, the Chairman's Stakes. VC number 2, Sarasana number 3, and Written Blind number 9. Sandown race 7, the Belmain Stakes. Vespertine number 2 from Snapped and Forbidden City. Lammy's best bet at Sandown, Daytona Bay. Race 6, number 3 is Daytona Bay. British Columbia is next best to race 5, number 9. And his value bet of the day, Field the Moment, race 3, number 8.
All right, Mick, Sharkie, a late inclusion coming off the floods in New Zealand to talk about Randwick. The Group 3 Eskimo Prince. He's got Osipenko number 5 on top of Arf Cabin number 3, Zoo Tiger 8 for his third selection. His best bet at Randwick is race 6, number 6, Banju. His next best is in race 5, number 9, Super Bright. And his value bet, and I tend to agree with him, it's a good chance, at odds, Wineglass Bay, race 9, number 14. Simon, take us through all your bets for Randwick and Melbourne.
Okay, the first, the Eskimo Prince, Af Cabin number 3 from Communist and Zoo Tiger for John O'Shea. Let's go to race 7 for my best, and that is Communist, a very good each way value for me there in Sydney. 2, Sandown now, the chairmans for the 2-year-olds, written Bly on top from VC and Zolfikar if it starts. And race 7 then, the Balmain Stakes, snapped on top for me for Anthony and Sam Friedman. Wrote to Arataki, number 10, and Rose Courts. Lammy will love me for it. Come in third. My best bet at Sandown is snapped. My value bet is Right You Are, race 8, number 6.
Right you are. Let's go to Randwick, and I've gone in the Eskimo Prince, very similar. Half cabin to beat Osipenko and Zoo Tiger, 3, 5 and 8. My best bet at Randwick is Pretty Wild in race 5, number 4. And my value bet is Miss Lenore, race 3, number 10. At Sandown in race 2 for the 2-year-olds. I've got Sarasana on top of VC and written Bly, so it's 3, 2 and 9. In the Balmain Stakes, Vespertine and Header Snapped and Exalita, 2, 11 and 1. My best bet at Sandown is in race 4, number 1, Benedetta. And my value bet at around $10 is race 5, number 1, Super Razzi. And this is where we come to the quaddie, Simon. And this is where I get 3 legs and a second. And it happened last week. I was just feeling very comfortable, got to the last. And then Rambler Rebel.
Well, what about running nowhere in the first leg and then winning the next 3?
It's not the way it works. You get to the last and get knocked out. But anyway, we'll start with just a couple in the first leg, just the 2 favourites. So we've gone 3 and 11 there. That's Daytona Rabain for Weta Sand. Then wide, 1, 2, 4, 8, 10 and 11. In the third leg, 5, 6, 9, 11. And in the last leg, in that third leg, I'm hoping Detonator Jack gets beaten and get a bit of value. If you want to skinny it up, that's where you might do it. In the last leg, 1, 2, 4, 6, 9. That's about $100. We'll get about 42%.
Oh, like it.
Well,
Mortal sin, mortal sin on us today.
What's that?
We've mixed politics and sport.
It's pretty hard. You come off the Australian Open, it's pretty hard not to. Every tennis player that gets up there gets asked a question about politics.
Yeah, and then we've got a horse called Communist, and it's by Russian Revolution. Yeah. And Capitalist is one of the favourites in another race, a horse by Capitalist. I mean,
a lot of people would say, I admit to knowing nothing about politics, and a lot of people say I know nothing about racing.
Well, I think you know a lot about racing, and you've trumped me yet again.
And on that note, we'll say thank you for joining us. Thank you, Simon, as always, for coming in at short notice. You can subscribe below. Hope you find plenty of winners, and don't forget to join us next week.
The betting brand for sports fans. That's better. Gamble responsibly.